Okay, picture this. A super successful company. Profits are through the roof, the stock price is just soaring. But what if all of that success is built on a secret? A secret that could bring the whole thing crashing down. Well, this is exactly why auditors have a specific rule book, a guide for finding those hidden dangers before they detonate. And today, we're going to break it all down. You know, this very question is what keeps auditors, investors, and even regulators up at night. It's one thing to check the numbers on a spreadsheet, sure, but the real challenge? It's uncovering the stuff that doesn't show up neatly in the accounts. And that is the ticking time bomb. I mean, think about it. A company might be violating environmental regulations, maybe ignoring labor laws. Those things aren't going to appear as a nice, clean line item on the balance sheet, but they represent this massive, massive potential liability. All it takes is one investigation to trigger catastrophic fines and penalties that could literally wipe out profits overnight. So this idea of a hidden threat is really at the core of what we're talking about today. We're diving below the surface to understand these hidden risks of noncompliance and why they are just so critical for a company's financial stability. So, an auditor's main job, as we know, is to give us assurance that the financial statements are fair and accurate. But their responsibility goes way deeper than that. They have to be alert to the possibility that the company isn't just making honest mistakes, but is actively breaking the law in a way that could materially affect those financials. And materially is the key word here, right? It just means the problem is big enough to change an investor's decision. It's not about finding every little slip-up, it's about finding the absolute game changers. So how in the world do they do it? Well, they don't just go in blind. They have a guide, a playbook, if you will. It's called International Standard on Auditing 250, or ISA 250 for short. And trust me, it's not just some dry set of rules. It's really the essential framework for these financial detectives. And this slide just nails its core purpose. See that central phrase again? Materially affect. This is so crucial. An auditor isn't a police officer, chasing down every minor infraction. Their job is to find the issues that are so significant they could mislead someone like an investor or a bank, the kind of problems that could change the entire financial picture of the company. So this big objective, it really breaks down into three core missions. It all starts with the foundation, getting reasonable assurance that the numbers are trustworthy. But it goes deeper. The auditor also has to become a bit of an expert on that company's specific legal landscape to proactively identify risks. And crucially, they have to maintain professional skepticism throughout the entire audit, which is really just a formal way of saying they have to assume something could be wrong and keep their eyes peeled for any red flags. And this is where the real detective work kicks in. So how does an auditor actually go about searching for these clues? Well, it's not random at all. It's a highly structured investigation. The whole investigation always starts with understanding the company's legal world. Some laws, like tax codes, well, they have a direct and obvious impact on the financial numbers. But the real landmines? They're often the laws with indirect effects. Think about something like environmental regulations. A company might be cutting corners for years with no immediate cost showing up, but one single investigation could trigger a fine so massive it threatens the company's very survival. It's that potential future cost that the auditor has to sniff out. And this slide, this lays out the investigator's toolkit. Look at these steps. It's like a multi-pronged attack. They'll inquire by questioning management directly. They'll inspect things like correspondence with regulators, looking for any warning shots. They'll review board meeting minutes, searching for any hushed discussions about legal troubles. And they'll analyze transactions, hunting for anything that looks unusual, anything that might be an attempt to hide something. But what happens when they actually find something? Okay. This is the most critical phase, because raising a red flag is just the beginning. The response is everything. Seriously, imagine you're the auditor for a second. You've just found an email that suggests a serious regulatory breach. The pressure is on. What do you do? Well, ISA 250 gives them a very clear escalating protocol. It starts with understanding the issue, just how big is the potential financial damage here. Then it moves to communication. You have to discuss it with management, give them a chance to explain themselves. From there, you escalate to transparency, figuring out if this needs to be disclosed to the public in financial statements. And all of this leads to that final crucial step, deciding how this serious issue is going to affect your official audit report. And this is where the rubber meets the road. Everything leads to the audit report, and it can go one of two very different ways. If a company cooperates, if they fix the issue or properly disclose it, they get an unmodified opinion, basically a clean bill of health. But if management ignores the problem or tries to hide it, the auditor has no choice but to issue a modified opinion. And that is a major red flag to the entire market, a clear warning sign that can seriously damage investor confidence. So this all brings us to the final verdict on the auditor's true role. You can see it's a position that requires immense skill, a healthy dose of skepticism, and just a ton of integrity. All right, let's boil all of this down to 3 essential takeaways. First, always remember that principle of materiality. Auditors are not looking for every tiny little mistake. They're looking for the issues big enough to change the entire story. Second, professional skepticism is absolutely vital because they have to work from the assumption that people might be actively trying to hide things. And finally, a whole bunch of small, seemingly minor issues can actually add up and become one big material problem. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. After everything we've seen, the investigation, the search for clues, the high-stakes consequences, is an auditor more of a detective piecing together a hidden story? Or are they more of a watchdog, standing guard to protect investors from financial danger? Maybe the truth is, to be really effective, they have to be both.